Imagine you pour your entire life savings into building, like, the perfect bakery.
Oh, wow. Yeah, the absolute dream.
Right. You're up before dawn, you're sourcing the best flour, mastering the craft, and you're baking just the absolute best bread in town.
Oh, I can smell it already.
Yeah, exactly. So you throw open your doors on opening day, but to, I'd say 90% of your neighbors, your storefront is completely invisible.
Like they just walk right past it.
Exactly. They walk right past. They literally do not know you exist. And, that is not just some metaphor. That's a digital reality happening right now, specifically in the city of Red Deer.
Yeah, it's a hidden crisis, really.
Yeah.
Quietly suffocating incredible local commerce.
It really is. So today we're exploring this massive disconnect. We're looking at why the absolute best, highest quality businesses in town are just completely failing to be found.
Right?
And we're looking at some really fascinating source material today, including excerpts from a piece called The Invisible Business, Red Deer's Digital Discovery Solution.
Which is such a great title, honestly.
It is, yeah. And our mission for this deep dive is to understand why this is happening and how the century-old historical DNA of this specific business community actually holds the master key to surviving the modern digital algorithm.
Yeah, which is just wild to think about.
It is. And, for you listening right now, just think about how naturally you pull out your phone to search for a product or a service, right?
Oh, we all do it. It's second nature.
Exactly. So the big framing thought here is what happens when the best option in town doesn't even show up on your screen?
Well, I mean, the scope of that disconnect is just staggering when you look at the raw data of consumer behavior. We're talking about brick and mortar stores that have incredible high quality products.
Right, like the best of the best.
Exactly. They offer top tier customer service that rivals, any premium brand out there. And they usually have fiercely loyal, albeit, kind of small groups of regular customers.
Regulars who always show up.
Yeah, the diehards. But despite all that, they are suffering from a terminal case of online invisibility.
Wow, terminal.
Yeah, because the tragedy here isn't just that they're losing out on potential revenue, right? It's that many of these owners, they don't even realize they're invisible to the vast majority of their own postal code.
Which is just wild to think about. I mean, you invest all your sweat and tears into building this physical space, but to the outside world, they're just crickets.
Complete silence, yeah.
It really reminds me of throwing the greatest dinner party of the year. Like, you hire a Michelin star chef, you buy the finest crystal glasses, you decorate the entire house.
Whole 9 yards.
Exactly. And the food is literally hot on the table. But you forgot to mail out the invitations.
Oh, no. That's rough.
Right. So the food is just sitting there getting cold, and nobody in town even knows this amazing event is happening right down the street.
I love that dinner party analogy because it really gets at the isolation of it all. But, let's take it a step further to truly capture the modern dilemma here.
Okay, let's hear it.
It's not just that you forgot the invitations. It's that the master map everyone uses to navigate the town has literally erased your street.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's so much worse.
Right. Because in the past, mailing the invitations just meant taking out an ad in the yellow pages or paying for a bright neon sign on a busy intersection.
Yeah, if you existed physically, you existed commercially.
Exactly. But consumer psychology has fundamentally shifted over the last decade.
Yeah.
The customer journey, it no longer begins at the front door of the shop or even on the sidewalk outside.
Nope.
It begins entirely on a glass screen.
Yeah, I mean, people are making their purchasing decisions sitting on their couches.
100%.
They search Google, they look at YouTube reviews, they check social media platforms. All of that trust is established way before they ever decide to put their keys in the ignition.
Yes.
And so if you aren't visible in those digital spaces, you aren't just losing a sale. You are disqualified before the race even starts.
Right. You're just not participating in the local conversation at all.
Which is terrifying for a small business.
It is. And there's a crucial shift happening here because the goalposts have entirely moved. Like, if you roll the clock back 10 or 15 years, the prevailing mantra for small business survival was just, you need to have a website.
Right. Just get online.
Exactly. So millions of independent owners hired a developer, built a basic 5-page website, checked that box on their to-do list, and just walked away.
Assuming the internet would do the rest.
Yeah, exactly. Assuming that was enough. But merely existing on a server somewhere, that's no longer the metric for success.
No, not at all.
The new metric is being found. And those are two vastly different things in today's highly competitive digital ecosystem.
Okay, let's unpack this for a second because I want to play devil's advocate here.
Sure, go for it.
If I'm that busy baker in Red Deer, right, and I set up my Google business profile 3 years ago with my address and my hours, isn't that exactly what a searcher is looking for?
It seems like it would be, yeah.
Right, like my address hasn't changed, my hours haven't changed, so why does Google care if I'm active? Why would Google punish me for just putting my head down and baking bread?
That is a completely understandable frustration. And honestly, it's the exact trap ensnaring countless independent shops today.
Okay.
Most owners mistakenly believe that just claiming a Google business profile is the finish line.
Yeah.
They treat it like a digital phone book listing.
Yeah, exactly. Set it and forget it.
Right. But that fundamentally misunderstands how modern search algorithms function and what they're actually trying to achieve. I mean, the internet is just overflowing with dead data.
Oh, for sure.
It's a massive graveyard of businesses that closed 5 years ago, websites that haven't been updated since 2012, just ghost towns of irrelevant information.
Google has to sift through all of that.
Exactly. Google's primary job, the very foundation of its multi-billion-dollar business model, relies on serving its users the most accurate, vibrant, and reliable information possible, and as quickly as possible.
So if my bakery profile just sits there completely static year after year, it starts to look pretty suspicious to the system.
Right. Google's algorithm is, it's a lot like a city planner with a strictly limited paving budget.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, it only paves the roads leading to houses where it actively sees the lights turning on and off, right? People coming and going, fresh activity happening.
Making sure someone actually lives there.
Exactly. If your digital house has had the lights off for a year, so no new photos, no fresh reviews, no updated posts, Google just lets the road leading to your business turn into an overgrown dirt path.
Wow.
Because to the algorithm, an inactive, disconnected listing looks exactly like an abandoned storefront with dust gathering on the windows.
Even if you are inside that building, literally baking fresh bread every single morning.
Right. The algorithm cannot smell the bread.
Yeah.
It can only measure the digital signals you are broadcasting.
So it needs a pulse. It's constantly checking for a digital heartbeat.
Yes, a heartbeat. Perfect way to put it.
And if it doesn't find one, it assumes you might be permanently closed or at least highly irrelevant to what the searcher wants.
Yep.
So it just drops you to page 4 of the search results, which is essentially a digital wasteland. Nobody goes to page 4.
Nobody. You're dead on page 4. Google actively rewards businesses that are consistent, active, and crucially connected across multiple platforms.
Okay, connected.
Right. And this is where the concept of digital authority comes into play.
Right.
Think about it. An independent website for a small bakery is basically an island. It sits alone in a vast ocean.
Just floating out there.
Yeah. And unless other reputable websites are constantly linking to it and sending traffic its way, Google has very little reason to trust that island. The algorithm requires a web of connections to verify your relevance.
Which brings us to the mechanical solution being deployed in Red Deer right now to fix this exact issue.
Yes, exactly.
Because the reality is, a local baker or mechanic simply does not have the time, the budget, or the technical expertise to constantly feed this digital beast.
No, they're busy running their actual business.
Right. They can't spend 4 hours a day building backlinks and optimizing SEO. So the creation of platforms like ShopReadier.com isn't just about building another directory. It's actually a structural intervention.
Exactly. Think about the mechanics of how a platform like that operates. It is designed as a centralized, local business discovery hub.
Okay.
So instead of 100 separate businesses trying to independently scream into the void, hoping Google hears them, they plug into a shared engine.
Oh, that makes so much sense.
Right. A single shop's website might be a faint whisper in a crowded, noisy stadium. The algorithm can barely detect it, but a collective hub acts as a massive megaphone.
Wow, yeah.
It groups dozens, even hundreds of local voices together, pooling their digital authority. It continuously generates the activity, the interconnected links, and the fresh content that basically forces the algorithm to pay attention.
So by joining the platform, that small bakery is suddenly inheriting the strength of the entire network. The platform is sending the signal to Google saying, hey, this business is here, it's active, and it is part of a highly vibrant local ecosystem. You need to show this to your searchers.
That's it. It feeds the digital presence that these individual owners are just really struggling to maintain on their own.
That is so smart.
It is. And, pooling digital resources to survive online, it sounds like a highly modern tech strategy, right? Like a very Web 3.0 concept.
Oh, totally. Very cutting edge.
But it is actually the exact same blueprint the shopkeepers of Red Deer used a century ago to physically build their city.
Yes.
The parallel between this digital pooling strategy and the historical DNA of the region is just striking.
Here's where it gets really interesting because I'm so glad we're getting into this. The historical context completely flips the script on how we view modern commerce.
It really does.
Because, when we hear a phrase like Chamber of Commerce today, most of us conjure up a very specific, honestly slightly cynical image.
Oh, yeah. Usually a hotel conference room.
Yes,
Yeah.
a drab hotel conference room, people in suits wearing lanyards, drinking mediocre coffee out of styrofoam cups.
And just aggressively handing out business cards to each other.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Trying to hit a quarterly sales quota. It feels very corporate. It
Yeah.
feels like networking for purely individual gain.
Yeah, that modern stereotype really strips away the survivalist roots of these organizations, especially in Western Canadian settlement towns.
Right.
In the early days of Red Deer, the Chamber of Commerce wasn't formed so people could exchange leads over lunch. It was born out of stark necessity.
Yeah.
One of the primary driving reasons local business owners originally banded together to form that chamber was to pool their money and their resources to buy the community's very first ambulance.
I mean, let that sit for a second. We aren't talking about funding a marketing campaign here.
Yeah.
We're talking about the visceral life or death reality of local shop owners literally buying a life-saving vehicle for their neighbors.
It's incredible.
The butcher, the baker, the hardware store owner pulling profits out of their own tills to make sure that if a child gets sick or a farmer gets injured, there's an actual mechanism in place to save them.
Yeah.
It just shatters that corporate stereotype completely. Red Deer was not built by detached multinational corporations looking for tax breaks.
Not at all.
It was built by local people running local businesses who genuinely cared about the physical survival of the people around them.
And looking closely at that history tells us something really profound about the nature of a Main Street economy.
Right.
Historically, the local economy and the community's survival were identical. They were not two separate spheres of life.
They were completely intertwined.
Exactly. Commerce was not merely a mechanism for extracting profit from a population. It was the literal engine for building civic infrastructure. The merchant class served as the safety net. They were the civic innovators. When a public need arose, whether it was emergency medical transport or paving a critical road or funding a community hall, the local businesses were the ones who stepped up to fill the void.
It radically reframes how you look at the independently owned shops down the street.
Right.
They're not just vendors pushing products. Historically, they are the foundational pillars of a city's well-being. If those businesses failed back then, the town didn't just lose a place to buy nails or flour.
The town lost its ability to fund its own survival.
Exactly.
And that exact legacy, that specific community DNA, is what makes the current digital crisis in Red Deer so incredibly urgent.
Right.
Because when these local businesses remain invisible online, they slowly lose their revenue to massive, faithless global corporations.
The giants.
The giants that have unlimited budgets to play the Google algorithm game perfectly, right?
Yeah, they can buy their way to the top.
Exactly. And when those local dollars are siphoned out of the municipal ecosystem, the community loses far more than just a convenient place to shop. It loses its foundational pillars.
That is such an important point.
Right, because a multinational e-commerce giant is never going to pool its profits to buy a local town and ambulance.
Never. Which brings us entirely back to you listening to this right now. So what does this all mean? We really have to examine our own daily habits.
We do.
When you need something, a product, a service, a gift, and you tap search on your phone, what happens next?
Right, what's your default?
Exactly.
Yeah.
If you automatically click that first massive retail link, or you default to the big box national chain simply because it popped up first on the map, what kind of community are you actively funding with your purchases?
That's the million-dollar question.
The opportunity that physically built the city of Red Deer still exists today, but the battlefield has just moved from the dirt roads to the digital search results.
Yeah, the physical frontier of the early 1900s has been replaced by a digital frontier. But the stakes for the municipal ecosystem are remarkably similar.
Yeah.
Every single time a consumer actively seeks out and supports an independent local business, they are engaging in an act of civic preservation.
I love that phrase, civic preservation.
Yeah, because they're contributing to something significantly larger than a simple retail transaction. They're voting with their wallet to maintain a community that actually has the capacity to sustain itself.
But, and here's the kicker, you cannot support a business if you do not know it exists.
Exactly. You can't.
You cannot vote with your wallet if the best options are hidden behind an algorithmic wall.
Right.
And that is where the push for digital visibility becomes so critical. Creating and utilizing platforms that pool local digital authority isn't just a clever marketing gimmick, it's the modern bridge allowing a community to continue its historical legacy.
Yeah, we really need to start viewing digital visibility as a form of critical public utility.
A public utility,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah. Building a platform that helps local businesses be seen online is essentially doing exactly what the original business owners did when they bought that ambulance.
That's such a powerful parallel.
Right. They're pooling resources to build a tool that ensures the survival and the health of the broader ecosystem. So by choosing to use those local discovery tools, by intentionally searching locally and shopping locally,
Right.
residents aren't just acquiring goods.
No.
They're actively participating in the continuous construction of their city.
It is about ensuring that the economic lifeblood of the community can actually flow to where it is needed locally.
Exactly.
If the local shops are digitally invisible, that lifeblood is effortlessly siphoned off by external entities who just happen to have a team of SEO experts sitting in an office complex 3,000 miles away.
Yeah, and the mechanics of local discovery dictate the health of the local economy.
Google is not a neutral phone book.
No, it's really not.
It is a highly opinionated ecosystem that demands a specific type of digital behavior. It requires businesses to be connected, to be active, and to be vibrant.
Doing the bare minimum of setting up a static profile is a mirage that leaves incredible businesses stranded on page 4. It takes a collective effort to overcome that algorithmic bias.
Which is exactly why interconnected collective platforms are stepping in to bridge that massive gap.
Yes.
They act as the engine, the megaphone in the stadium, right? To feed that digital presence so these incredible local shops can actually be found by the people standing right down the street. It levels the playing field against the e-commerce giants.
And tying it all back to the bedrock of Red Deer's history really reminds us why leveling that playing field matters in the first place.
Absolutely.
The revelation that the early business community banded together to fund emergency medical transport, it's just a stark reminder that the health of the local economy and the physical health of the community are intimately, inextricably linked.
You cannot degrade one without degrading the other.
No, you really can't.
It gives an entirely new weight to the concept of shopping local. It's not just a cute, colorful sticker you put on a cafe window to feel good about yourself.
Right, it's so much more than a hashtag.
Exactly. It's a continuation of a powerful, centuries-old legacy of community care and infrastructure building.
It demands a real shift in how we approach our daily convenience.
Yeah.
We've been trained to just accept whatever the glass screen hands us first. Reclaiming the local economy requires a conscious effort to look past the algorithmic mirage, right?
Yeah.
And seek out the businesses that actually form the civic foundation of our neighborhoods.
Definitely. So as you pull out your phone later today to search for your next purchase or, look up a service provider, consider this lingering thought. If the local businesses of Red Deer's past were the ones who stepped up and funded life-saving essentials like the very first ambulance, what vital community innovations, what critical safety nets, or what local dreams are we actively starting today when we allow our independently owned businesses to remain digitally invisible?
That is a heavy thought, but a crucial one.
It really is. Keep digging deeper on this one. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.